Hey, everybody. Today we're going to look at the 1980s movies this time. Take a break from the music. And I've got with me two guests that were kind enough to join me for this topic. First time out, we got Sean, also known as Doc, a mutual friend of Brian and myself from Reactions to the Classics. We've been on that channel for well over a year, and we've been texting and communicating about different things. We both have interest in not only music, but movies as well. And so we wanted to come up with a project to do, and we figured we'd come out of the gate with some 80s movies. Brian, AYBL Maine, is back. We did a CCR video about a week and a half ago, and we had a fun time doing it. Doc thought maybe he would like to join us. So here we go. We're going to do a little trio of 80s movies. And instead of being conventional and doing a top 10 list, we came up with a plan to maybe do it in different categories and give 5 from each category and see how that plays. So hopefully we'll have some crossover. We'll have a lot of differences, and we'll be able to, bounce back and forth and see our opinions on the different movies. So Doc and Brian, thank you very much to both
Thanks,
of you.
Rich.
It's great to have you
Not a
here.
problem, Rich.
And this is going to be a lot of fun. So being that Doc is his first time on, we're going to let him go first.
Rook.
First
Yeah, a lot of
category.
pressure, eh? A lot of
Big
pressure
time
already,
rookie
guys?
here.
Thanks, eh?
He had good numbers in the minor leagues. We'll see how he does in the bigs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If I hit 300, I'll be happy, buddy. So.
And we are going to do our categories one by one. We have 11 categories, just for the record. Number 1 is action adventure. So this will be interesting to see how this goes. Doc, hit me up.
All right. So thanks, Rich. It's great to be here. Thanks for everything. And
awesome,
we'll give this a shot. Brian,
Yep.
You guys know your stuff. So go easy if I may.
Absolutely.
The top 5 action adventure. You can tell a lot of different kind of movies. So we'll see where it goes. I had Die Hard in there. It's basically my number 5. Pretty much a staple of that era. Back to the Future, I had in my list as well as really an adventure movie for what it is, and actually still holds up pretty good for the time.
It does.
All things considered. There's holes in the plot, but hey, a lot of pretty good movies have holes in plots. So
If you deal with time travel, that's going to happen.
yeah.
Every single time.
That's the Avengers, man.
Yeah, every single time.
Yep.
My third is going to come in more on the action side of things, and definitely on the more violent side of things. It's going to come with Predator.
Wow. Good one.
Out of the 80s. It was a different kind of movie for that time, for sure. And same director from Die Hard to Predator. So it's had a pretty good run in the 80s, John there did. And
I like
that
it.
leads us to our number 2, which would be one of the better sequels I would think of all time, under Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
The sequel to Star Wars. And it's probably, well, it is the best movie in the franchise, in my opinion. And for a fantasy action sci-fi movie, it kind of hits on a lot of notes. So,
yeah.
But my number 1 is probably the greatest adventure movie of all time. I'm going with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I think it's Spielberg and Lucas, to be honest, at their peak, hooking up, doing a movie, which is hard to beat that out of the gate. It's a great story. It's really well done. Harrison Ford, pretty much at the top of his game at that time. He shows up a few times throughout this list, but he's a great actor, and just a very memorable character that he had throughout the whole series. But starting off the series, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Didn't know what you're going to get when you actually heard the title, even at the time. It was like, what the heck is this going to be about? And it was a real adventure movie, especially for the times, and still one of the classics. There's my top 5 action adventure.
Good job.
Nice.
Brian, any common ground there?
Yeah, actually, I had Die Hard as well. That seemed to be like a no-brainer. Those are those no-brainers you run into all the time. Yep. I had Back to the Future.
Wow.
As well. I had Predator as well.
Oh my God.
Okay. I didn't have Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the only reason I didn't was because I actually believe the logic that Amy Farrah Fowler used on Big Bang Theory, and that Indiana Jones was superfluous to the outcome of the plot. So I was like, you know what? That's sound logic. I can't incorporate that one in there then. So I didn't have Raiders for that reason. My number 2 was The Killer. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's an action movie by John Woo about a hitman who actually ends up befriending someone that he was supposed to actually, kill, and ends up protecting her the whole movie. And it's great. I mean, John Woo makes really great, sincere films, and Tarantino took a lot of his cues from how he makes films. And the ending is like, it's like crazier than The Wild Bunch. I know you guys have seen The Wild Bunch with Sam Peckinpah. The amount of deaths, I don't know where he got the bullets from, but he must have been scooping them off the floor and just shoot. And I think I saw one guy die 7 times in it. So, they're just throwing guys out there to die multiple times in the movie, but it's a great action movie. I mean, and I was really into foreign film as well. But my number 1 action film was Highlander, because it's kind of a cult classic. I remember really liking the film. Obviously Queen does the soundtrack for it. It stars Christopher Lambert as the lonely immortal who we come to realize that being immortal is not all it's cracked up to be. And it also has Clancy Brown plays the Kurgan, who does a superb job in that. Yeah. I thought he did a great job. And the whole premise of the movie was just so original to me, that these immortals are walking across time, waiting for that destiny where they all have to meet and battle it out for the right to be just the one that's left. I thought it was just an original premise. Probably the most unfortunate thing was that the only thing not immortal was good script writing for the subsequent sequels that would follow that movie. It was Highlander 2 and the third one were just awful.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene from the movie was when the Kurgan stands up in church as he's leaving, and he does his Def Leppard thing. He says, "I got something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away."
I love it. That's classic, man.
Scene. It's classic.
Awesome.
So, number 1 for me, Highlander.
Good job. I did see The Killer. How about you, Sean? Have you seen The Killer?
No, I didn't see The Killer. No.
I saw it. I
was going to say it's better to burn out than fade away right there before you actually got to it there for the Highlander. So
I remember more about The Killer than I do Highlander, believe it or not. I saw them both years ago.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Mine, I actually had 2 that have been mentioned already, but I put them in different categories, I think. Let me look. 1 for sure. Anyway, I'm going to start I have number 5 as The Road Warrior, which was the second Mad Max film from 1982 with Mel Gibson, where gas is at a premium and they're just running around in these vehicles, and it's organized mayhem. It's just fantastic. So
it's a great flick.
I like The Road Warrior. Number 4 is one of the better buddy movies, but it is an action adventure movie as far as I'm concerned. That's Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson again. 3 is Die Hard. We all had that. We all agree that has to be in this category. 2 is The Empire Strikes Back. It is the best of the Star Wars movies for sure. Better than the original, and I don't think anything since has topped it. So it's the all-time best. And 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't disagree. I mean, I think it's the best action adventure movie I've ever seen. It's just nonstop, never lets up. It's extremely entertaining. Great performance by Harrison Ford. I love Karen Allen in it as the little girlfriend, sidekick, whatever she is. You got the Nazis as the enemy, and they're going for that Covenant, Ark of the Covenant. He's an archaeologist. You buy him in the classroom in the beginning, and then when he's got the outfit on and he's out there doing his thing, it's a great movie. So
fantastic flick.
Short Round in Raiders of the Lost Ark, or is
he's in the sequel. I think he's in either Indiana Jones or the next one. I think it's Indiana Jones.
Short Round, the little.
Oh, he's in number 2. He's in number 2.
Yeah.
He's got those big blocks on his feet to drive that car.
He says no time for love, Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones. Yeah. I think Kate Capshaw and Steven Spielberg hooked up right around that time.
That's right. So, that's right. He dumped Amy Irving for Kate Capshaw.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Anyway, there we go. That's our
Anything
action
goes.
adventure. So we hit on some common films there. I thought we might.
Yeah.
Comedy
Yeah, we did.
is the next one, and Sean, you're up.
Well, I don't know if we'll have the same thing, because comedy has there was a lot of great comedies really in the 80s but the list that I put together anyway. I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
absolutely.
interesting to see. So we'll give it a shot. So I'll start off with my number 5. It is a spoof comedy. It is a spoof of, let's say, Airport 75 with the movie Airplane.
That's a great one.
It's still holds up now, actually, too. Another one that actually still stands. That's that slapstick Zucker humor is just it's really good, man. And
Hilarious.
Great. It was a staple growing up for me, and it's still one I enjoy. That's for sure. Yeah. My number 4 would be the Blues Brothers. For me,
Nice.
The mix of comedy and music, and just a lot of guests that show up in this, and it's just a far out and most expensive comedy ever made at the time. Anyway, I don't know if it still is or not, but the amount of car crashes in that movie would make up for a lot of anything. So that would be my number 4. My number 3, I'm going with Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Wow, good one.
Wow, nice.
More of a story comedy, but the comedy in that story is pretty damn funny, man. So
it's Steve Martin, right?
Steve Martin and Michael
Caine.
And Michael Caine.
Good combo, yeah.
It was it's a great combo, and they're really working well off of each other in that movie. So it was really it's a standout for me, and it's still want to go back to every once in a while to watch.
Yep.
Now my number 2 was my number 1 for like a long time, until this afternoon, if you want the truth. So, but my number 2 is This Is Spinal Tap.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was my number 1. So I think the humor, the dryness of it all, and the ad lib throughout the whole thing, and it's Meathead getting a shot at his first directorial debut, and Lenny's in there, and you got Christopher Guest and Harry Shearer, and it's a really talented guy singing really. I mean, there you go. Exactly. You're going to hellhole the sex farm. You can have whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But they had the gamut covered, and it's just a tongue-in-cheek documentary, and it's such a satire flick. Very dry.
Cool.
And still a classic. Still a classic in my eyes. I was not expecting my number 1 to turn out to be my number 1 until I recently revisited this one. So my number 1 is what do I have here? Midnight Run.
Oh yeah.
With Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
That is funny, man.
I haven't thought about that movie forever.
And it's man, that's it's a funny movie, man. It's just a funny movie. Bounty hunter trying to bring back Charles Grodin, who's running from the mob and Dennis Ferrer and the gang. Like it's they're all after Alonzo, the cop. The FBI is looking for him. The amount of swearing in that movie is just over the top, but it's used so well. And it's
I was just going to say the language. The language is incredible. It's funny.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a real funny flick, real funny. And it stands out to me as the comedy of the 80s that is my number 1 for 1980s.
Awesome. That's a great pick.
Great.
Thanks.
Like it.
Brian.
All right. So what do I got? I've got my number 5 is Big Trouble in Little China.
Classic.
I just love that one. A little bit of combination of action and humor, but Kurt Russell being just the ultra truck driving buffoon that just kind of gets thrust into this narrative of this ancient powers at battle, and just he stumbles his way to be the hero somehow. And I like going along for the ride, which is kind of what I look for in these movies, is that if I were thumbing through the channels and I saw that on, I would stop no matter where it was and finish the movie
and watch it.
So that's kind of what I went by. Also, number 4, Beetlejuice. I'm a big Tim Burton fan, and I like Beetlejuice a lot. I think that some of this crazy stuff that goes on in there, and Michael Keaton's performance as Beetlejuice is just fantastic. He did a great job with that. I loved it. Number 3 is Caddyshack. It's just a classic, and nothing can beat Chevy Chase and Bill Murray in that movie. It's just one of those movies you could watch over and over again. It doesn't bother you at all. Number 2 is Major League.
Oh,
which
Another funny
a
one.
little bit of a sports movie too, and just the combination of characters in that is great. I mean, it's got Wesley Snipes in it, and Charlie Sheen was Wild Thing, and the guy from Serrano's the guy from the State Farm commercials. That's what he does now.
That's right.
But my number 1 was A Fish Called Wanda.
wow, good one.
I love that movie. I mean, and Kevin Kline does such a great job as the dull-witted buffoon Otto, and he's a part of this group of jewel thieves that all of a sudden just start backstabbing each other as a means to try to like acquire all the riches for themselves. And you got him in it, and you got Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Palin's in it as Ken, who has a stutter, and that becomes a thing. And John Cleese plays the barrister who's trying to defend one of the people who got caught and ends up falling for Jamie Lee Curtis. And there's all these twists and turns in it and everything. My favorite quote in it was when Wanda calls Otto an ape because he's acting stupid, and he says apes don't read Nietzsche. She said, yes they do, Otto, they just don't understand it.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's a great movie, and Kevin Kline got nominated for best supporting actor in it, and he definitely deserved it for that movie.
He won. He actually won.
He actually won for that.
He won
Fantastic.
the Oscar supporting actor.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did.
He did a great job. It's a great movie. I find it hilarious.
That's good.
It is hilarious. That's why.
I want to make 2 comments on Brian's. Believe it or not, I have not seen Big Trouble in Little China. Never have.
Wow.
So I have to catch up with that. That gives me some something to look forward to because it sounds funny.
It's great.
I've always bypassed it. I don't know why. I have no reasoning for it. And the other thing was your winner, Fish Called Wanda. It was one of the ones I cut out of my comedies because I had it in consideration for sure. So my number 5 is the Blues Brothers. Doc already talked about it. I echo those sentiments exactly. I had to have one Belushi film, and of course, Animal House was in the 70s, so this is the logical choice because I was a big fan from Saturday Night Live in the old days, and he's great in this movie. And number 4, I'm not sure whether you guys are going to agree with me on this one, but it is A Christmas Story, the one that shows up on TNT and TBS every year. I
had that on my list, Rich.
Yeah,
I had that on my list.
It's become a standard.
I just watched it for the first time.
Oh my goodness!
Past Christmas, I'd never seen it before ever.
Oh really?
Ever.
I watch it every year. Every year I watch it. What was your take on the first time?
On my first take, it was just
weird.
Okay to me. It was just okay to me. I guess I got to watch it again to catch.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that with repeated viewing, you pick up the little nuances here and there. And it's quite funny. That's number 4. Number 3, I had to have a John Hughes movie because he was the king of the 80s comedies. I went with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's my favorite of his. I think it's just a romp. It's a real good time. I considered 16 Candles. I like that a lot too. Stand By Me is not a traditional comedy, although I was considering that on the list as well. My number 2 is Broadway Danny Rose, a Woody Allen movie, which I don't know whether you guys have seen.
Yeah,
a long time
ago.
I've
seen it
a long time ago. Yeah,
I think it's quite funny. Mia Farrow's good in it. They were still together then before all the histrionics with their court case and stuff. But it's an effective comedy. It's hard to look at Woody Allen the same now these days after all the accusations and stuff like that. But during that time, he all his movies, I went and saw him in the theater. I was a big fan. Number 1 for me is Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman, Jessica Lange, Bill Murray, Terry Garr, Charles Durning, Dabney Coleman. It is a comedy. Dustin Hoffman stars as a guy who's an actor who can't get hired. He's out of work. He's got a difficult reputation as being demanding, and he fights with directors, and Of course, he gets a job on a soap opera and falls in love with the co-star Jessica Lange, although he's dressed up as a woman to get the role, an older, middle-aged woman, and there's gender issues and stereotypes questioned in this. So it's really a great movie. And Charles Durning is Jessica Lange's father, and then he's like attracted to the woman part.
Right.
And the guy, it's just, it works. It holds up. I like Dustin Hoffman's performance because you believe he is a woman, and then when he turns back into the man, he's two people in the same movie, and it's just fantastic.
As soon as you said it, Rich, all I can hear is his voice changing when he rips off his wig.
Yeah.
Who was the director again? Was it Sidney Pollack?
Sidney Pollack.
It is Sidney Pollack. Yeah.
Okay.
And he has a role and he plays his agent.
Agent.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
What year was that one, Rich?
82.
82.
Yeah.
What's really weird about that is, as much as Dustin Hoffman was falling for Jessica Lange, so was I.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right there, man. I tell you, I had a big crush on that.
He never looked better than in that movie. Oh my God. So that's my number one. I can live with that. So.
Oh, they're good choices, Rich. Good choices. And you know what? I didn't touch on your list there, Brian, when you did yours, but I would have been happy if I swapped out my comedies, and I took your 5. I would have been a happy guy too if I had your 5 comedies too, Brian, just so you know. So Wanda is just absolutely a classic.
It is. That's a good choice. I wish I would have picked it, but I would have had to bounce somebody out. I probably would have bounced a Christmas Story out. But
well, I mean, I took Caddyshack off, and I consider that like one of my all-time favorite.
I love
movies,
Caddyshack.
but
I love Caddyshack.
Caddyshack,
Yeah.
Anybody should like Caddyshack just for Ted Knight.
I like juvenile humor. Yeah, that sophomoric humor when that Baby Ruth goes in the pool, man, is classic.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
And the whole gopher, right? The whole gopher thing and carrying that hose between his legs. All that shit works for me, man.